Hello and welcome to the Anxious Knitter podcast. My name is Joy, and I am the Anxious Knitter. I'm so anxious that when I walked into my doctor's office and saw they had installed self-check-in kiosks, I very nearly did an actual dance for joy. Except I didn't, because I have social anxiety, and that would have been an actual nightmare. Anyway, like I said, my name is Joy, and this is the Anxious Knitter podcast, and you are here for episode... I don't remember, 30-something. It was on the screen already, it doesn't matter. Yeah, how you doing? This is a podcast mostly about knitting, but sometimes about crochet, sewing, embroidery, spinning, and whatever other crafty thing catches my fancy at the moment. If you are a returning viewer, as always, thank you so much for coming back, especially as I am so very intermittent. And if you are a new viewer, just stumbling on my podcast for the first time, welcome. I hope you find something that you like or find interesting, and I mean, honestly, like, you're gonna want to go back like 4 episodes to see me like probably at like peak Anxious Knitter recording, but I hope you stick around anyway. Once again, it's been a hot minute. Remember how I said I was gonna record every 2 weeks because I thought that would work for me? Spoilers, it didn't work for me. It's just like, it turns out that my baby never wants to stop moving and doing stuff, and like was crawling and has started to walk and was cruising like so early and getting into everything so early, and we had some like nap time issues. It was a lot. There was a lot, and I did actually record an episode like probably 2 months ago, maybe month and a half ago, I don't know, whatever. It was well before Christmas, and when I looked back at the footage, you could tell I was not in a great place mentally. And I just didn't like feel right putting it up. It wasn't my best work, let's just say that. But things have evened out. It's a weekend, Luke's home, he has her in the other room. They'll come and say hi at the very end, because it's been a really long time since you guys last saw her, if you don't follow me on Instagram and see my periodic updates. But yeah, so here I am for episode whatever. I have some finished objects, I have some whips, I've got knitting, crochet, and spinning to show you today. Got a couple, well, I have acquisitions, but they're gonna be kind of like, most of them will be sort of interspersed throughout. But yeah, I'm trying to think. I know I haven't done a dweeb story in a really long time, and like I said in my last episode, it's because I feel like my life is just one enduring dweeb story currently. Like, the lack of sleep just kind of makes you a little loopy, and you say things and do things that you maybe wouldn't otherwise say or do. But yeah, I can't really think of something. Oh, okay, no, here, okay. Let's go. Let's start with this. All right. Dweeb story of the week. All right. This happened a couple days ago. It's not really that bad. Okay, I'm gonna preface this is not like, whatever. You know what? Joy, just like ride it out. Just ride it out. Okay, so for Christmas, for Thomason, from my brother and his girlfriend, we got an umbrella stroller. Because the stroller that we have is really heavy, and we live at the top of like a 3 or 4 floor walk up. I never know how to count floors. Like, do you count the number of flights of stairs? I don't, whatever, it doesn't matter. We live at the top. There's no elevator, okay? I hate these stairs. There was no way I was gonna drag a baby and an umbrella stroller up and down those stairs. Not an umbrella, a baby and a regular stroller. So we got the umbrella stroller. Which is much lighter. And I got ambitious the other day. It was nice weather, and I thought, I am gonna be a real grown-up, and I'm gonna walk with my baby to the grocery store and buy baby food. I'm gonna do it. And I did it. I got her down the stairs in all of her winter gear with the thing hucked over my shoulder, and it was okay. It was a nice, good, long, brisk walk. I went into the store and I bought my baby food like a good, responsible parent. Anyway, so then it was time to come back. And this is kind of, so we're walking back, and ahead of us, I see our neighbor from across the hall and her little boy is about 4. And I'm like, oh no, I don't want to have a conversation. Okay, social anxiety, what you gonna do? I was like, I don't want to have a conversation. So I started walking like really slow. Like probably people driving down the street were like, what is up with this lady? Like, is she okay? I mean, I was huffing puffing because like it was already it was a very slight incline and I was dying, okay? I have no stamina anymore for anything. And so I'm walking like really slow. Like I even stopped and like checked my phone as if it was really important, you know, when you put on that face like, oh wow, yeah, that's super important, but like nothing is on your screen. I'm like, I need them to get far enough ahead of me. But you know, he's a 4-year-old, this little boy, sweetheart. He's walking very slowly. He wants to look at everything. It was impossible. I ended up at the stoplight with them. But then, a small miracle. The light changed just before I got there. So I thought, oh, they're gonna already be crossing the street. It'll be great. No, it didn't work out that way. They noticed me once we got to the other side of the street. And they were like, oh, hi, haha. We had a nice conversation. And then we got home. At this point, Thomason had started to cry because she was hungry. And then my neighbor very kindly offered to hold the door for me, which would have been really nice, except I couldn't remember how to fold my stroller, and everything was wet and covered in salt, so I couldn't put her down. So I am holding my baby and trying with my like hand and my foot to like click the stroller down while my neighbor is holding the door and looking at me like, any minute now. And I'm like, you know, it's just new stroller. Finally, I get it clicked down. I huck it back over my shoulder. Thank you so much for opening the door. Thank you so much. I let her go ahead of me. And meanwhile, I'm trying to get up the stairs. I'm short, okay? And while this umbrella stroller is quite light, it's quite long. So as I'm holding my baby, carrying my stroller, it's just whacking me in the ankles the whole way. I'm tripping the whole way up while I'm trying to kind of maintain a conversation because, again, her child is moving slowly up the stairs. I'm moving slowly up the stairs. We're always kind of on pace until finally we reached the door. They went inside. I went inside, looked in the mirror, and I was just beet red. Just red. And you know what? My lungs burned for the whole rest of the day. So there you go. There's your dweeb story. It's been a while since I've told one of those. But yeah. So let's get into the knitting content, shall we? With finished objects. Yes. Okay, I've got a few. Let's start with a crochet project, shall we? If you follow me on Instagram, you'll have seen this. In fact, you'll have seen most of this stuff. But anyway, if you don't follow me on Instagram, which I think many of you don't, then it's all new. This is a stuffed deer that I crocheted. This is the Elena deer or Elena deer. I don't know how the designer pronounces it. By, I think her name is, it's Janina Schenkel. This was a free pattern. She has I'll have to go and get that for the acquisition segment. But she's the author of the Pika Pow, like Friends of Pika Pow book, which I got for Christmas, so I'll have to show you guys that. But this was like a free pattern that sort of related to the book, I think. So you could, I assume so you could kind of like test the pattern out. And it was a great pattern. I loved crocheting her. We call her Deirdre because she's a deer. Yeah, and I crocheted her, out of Bernat Handicrafter cotton. This is the potpourri colorway, and as you can see, it's like cream with like these little pastel speckles. And then I used a cream yarn and a cream like cotton and black cotton. She has her little hooves down here. And if you want to just kind of see her body, is very simple. But I like that she has attached legs like this, because all the other ones I've made have like legs that are like built into the body, like it's one piece. And so she's nice because she can like sit and bend a little easier. The pattern comes with a little mini pattern to crochet a dress, but I kind of liked the idea of mixing textures. I just thought it might kind of like amp it up a little bit. So Luke sewed her this really sweet little dress. It has a little gathered neckline. I can't remember. We adapted the dress from a doll pattern that we have, and I'll put the name of that on the screen if I can remember to do that. And then I just kind of improv'd a little shrug cardigan, little top-down cardigan, out of some leftover Cascade 220 from my Veronica cardigan. I embroidered the eyes because I wanted her to be safe, and I don't really have easy access to safety eyes. And yeah, all in all, she took, I think, about a week. She was originally going to be a part of a Christmas present for Thomasin, because she also got a Cuddle and Kind doll from Santa. And but she kind of spotted her, and her face lit up when she saw her, so I had to give it to her early, but that's okay. And Luke even did like a hook and eye closure at the back, which is pretty cool. So I love seeing her. She's actually quite soft. She's quite cuddly. Like I stuffed her pretty firmly because, you know, I want her to last, but Thomasin likes to play with her and her Cuddle and Kind doll. They kind of look nice together. So the Cuddle and Kind doll and the deer, not Thomasin and the deer. That's weird. But yeah, so that's my first finished object, the Elena deer. My second finished object I have to show is a sweater that I knit for Thomasin. The pattern is the Endearing Sweater from Unit, and at the time this was a free pattern, I think promoting their new book, but I don't think it's free anymore. Could be wrong. It's worth trying, like taking a look, but this is it. I omitted the lace panel in the front. I tried very hard to do the lace panel in the front, but I was very sleep deprived, very, very sleep deprived at the time, and there were a lot of tears, a lot of ripping the sweater out. I think it took about 5 tries before I just said, you know what, I'll do the lace panel another time for another version of this sweater. I'm just gonna do a straight sweater for this. So yeah, it's very sweet. It has a little button closure at the back, so I use this little wooden flower button, a little crochet detail here just to kind of make the edge clean looking. Garter stitch, cuffs, collar, and hem. No short rows, very, very basic. It looks very sweet on her. I'll throw a picture of her wearing the sweater up right now. And yeah, so I knit this out of O wool in their fingering weight in the feldspar colorway, and oh my gosh, I bought this yarn at Rhinebeck in 2018, and it was like the first booth I went to. I like ran to it, and you know, this was the only skein of it I bought for myself, knowing it was going to become a baby project, and I'm really sad I did not buy more of it. Like, I wish I had bought a sweater's quantity in this exact yarn and colorway for myself, because it's gorgeous. It is so soft, so beautiful, just so like plush. Like, this sweater's, oh, I love it so much. So maybe someday I will order some online for myself, but until then I'll just squish this and rub it against my face like a weirdo. But yeah, so that's the Endearing Sweater. I think I was working on this next one the last time I podcasted, and it has since been finished. That is my Novelli Tee by Caitlin Hunter. I dyed this yarn myself. The green, the main color green, is here. So I love this sweater, but I had originally dyed this wanting like an olive green, sort of like an olive color, like more of like a brown tone, light brown green, and then I did that, and then I was looking at the skeins as they were drying, and I was like, this is either gonna knit up looking like dirty celery or like camo, and neither of those are my aesthetic. I may have made that joke in the last episode, and whatever, I don't care. So I overdyed it with a more emeraldy green, and I really like the color. You can kind of see there. Oh, it's kind of going a little blue. Yeah, that's pretty good. You can see there's some brown still, some like goldy green, some teals in there. Yeah, so I really liked that main color. I think I knit this the 4th size, maybe. I did not swatch. It was I knew I was picking a size with lots of ease. It didn't matter to me that much, so whatever. And the dark color was another one I just kind of dyed myself, just like a dark kind of browny green. And then the light color was some leftovers of my Sparrows and Inkcaps colorway. So mostly everything is my 80/20 sock base. But I think the dark one was my BFL silk. But yeah, anyway. I really love this sweater. I've worn it a few times. It's definitely my most wearable like pullover that I've knit for myself so far. And yeah, the only thing was that I wish that I had bound off more stitches. Like I wish I had bound off to like here when you're doing the 3 needle bind off, because it's very open, and so it's like impossible to avoid the bra strap situation, which normally for me wouldn't be a problem because I like to wear kind of cute like strappy bralette type things, but I was nursing up until recently, so nursing bra straps are less cute to show off, but what are you gonna do? I don't think there's really a way to fix that after the fact. If you have fixed it after the fact and you see like it's pretty like a pretty clean job, like let me know please how you did it, because I'd love to do that. It would make it even more wearable for me, but I'll probably knit another one eventually in another colorway. Yeah, and I loved doing this color work. It was so nice. It was so easy. I've knit this one, the Birkin sweater, and the Sunset Highway by Caitlin Hunter, and of the 3, this one had the most fun color work for me. It was the easiest color work. By contrast, I hated doing the color work on the Sunset Highway. I didn't mind doing the Birkin, except I didn't like doing the 3 strands, so this was like right up my alley. And I pretty much, I think, knit it to pattern. I don't think I really changed anything to my knowledge, but yeah, so I really like that. And if I remember, I will try to put a picture of myself wearing it so you can see it on. But yeah, that's my Novelli tee, and I wore it to the Kitchener Knitters Fair this year. All right, sorry, I'm just like gonna whip through some of these things because I don't have a lot of time. And I don't know how much space I have on my phone, which I'm recording on right now. So I hope you don't mind. All right, so my next one is another sweater. It's mostly sweaters. And this is the Albini cardigan by Orlan Sush. I'm so sorry, I don't know how to say her last name. But I feel like this cardigan needs no introduction. So it's a basic top-down raglan cardigan with buttons and all that jazz. I knit mine out of Green Mountain Spinnery, in the music base in the Rust and Diamonds and Rust colorway, I think. Rust and Diamonds, something like that. I really enjoyed knitting with this yarn. It's a woolen spun yarn. I was a little worried because when I finished it, it felt really scratchy to me in a way that normally woolen spun yarns don't feel for me. But I also think that I kind of developed a bit of a wool sensitivity while I was pregnant, and that's started to go away now. But here, let me throw it on real quick. And while I'm doing that, I'll be totally honest with you, I was also a little bit disappointed with the fit of this cardigan, and I don't know, I think I knit the right size. I think it's just, I I find that I look nicer in a cardigan with a V front, and this one is one that goes all the way up to the top, which is kind of weird because I love a crew neck sweater, but it actually looks quite nice on camera. I feel like it looks nicer on camera than it does in real life. But it's very warm. I mean, like, for walking the dog, not that I do a lot of that these days, Luke does that. So yeah, so you can see I knit pockets for the first time, and I think they're called inset pockets. That's actually my biggest mistake that I made, was I didn't measure correctly. So like this pocket's the right length and goes like all the way to the hem, and this one definitely does not, and I was not going to rip back and try to like fix that. So yeah, you can see I chose these like green kind of, I don't know, is it mother of pearl, is kind of tortoiseshell sort of look, which I really, really like. It's a very nice tweedy yarn. Yeah, see, like, it doesn't feel that scratchy to me now, so maybe that was just a like early postpartum thing. So a couple things about this. This was my first time knitting pockets, like I said, and I was very excited to knit functional pockets. My first time knitting a cardigan that had a picked up like button band. It has short rows on the collar. I substituted German short rows, and I'm very happy I did that. It was my first time doing a sewn bind off, which I did on here, and unfortunately I started out doing it wrong on, I think here, yeah, you can see here, I started doing it wrong, and that's unfortunate. But again, I was not going to try to unpick that. I was not feeling confident. There's not any shaping that I remember. Maybe there was no, there isn't, I don't think. But yeah, and there's this little like braid detail, which if I were to knit this again, I think I would take it out and replace that with just like a garter bump. It just really like messed with my gauge in certain places. Like you can kind of see here how that first row is very, very loose, and I even went down like 2 needle sizes for that. But yeah, it's a bit of a bummer because I really, really wanted this sweater, and I thought it was gonna look really, really cute, and it looked less cute. I wonder, less cute in real life than I thought it would. But that's okay. That's okay. It's what it is. And I love the color, and I really do love the yarn, and I'll wear it. Like, I definitely will wear it. I think it looks better open. And now I'll stop turning around and shimming in front of the camera. So my last knitting finished object is what I'm putting on right now, which is my pink one. I love this thing so much. Like, so much. Yeah, this is by Stephen West. Of course, I don't think this pattern needs an introduction at all. I cast this on Christmas Eve last year. This was my Christmas Eve cast on. I talked about this in the Instagram post about it, but at the time we were going through all that stuff with Thomas and like not knowing if she was going to be okay, like because we'd had that ultrasound and like the specialist ultrasound and all of that drama, so we had no idea if she was going to be okay, and we were very stressed over the holidays. It was not a fun Christmas, and I felt like I needed something that was just going to bring me a little bit of joy and peace, something that was going to be easy but fun, and this was the project I'd been wanting to cast on. I'd had the yarn gathered up for a while, and I did it, and then I finished it on Christmas Eve 2019. So yeah, this is made up of a lot of different yarns, things that I've had for sitting in my stash for quite a while, like this skein. I used it up, the whole thing. I had no idea what to do with it. I have some of my own hand spun in here. I have yarns that were like the first skeins I dyed when I was starting Cabinet of Curios. I have this, one of the colors I marled in here is from Debbie of the Loving Path, the little like skein of Wild Child that she gave me at Rhinebeck in 2018. But yeah, it was so much fun. I love the welts. I wear predominantly black and neutrals and basics. So for me, this is like the perfect cardigan to put on because it goes with everything, because everything I own is black or navy or brown. So yeah, I really, really, really love wearing it. I wear it almost every single day. And it's so cozy and soft, and it's such a cool shape, and I'm already getting ready to, like, I want to knit another one. In fact, I want to knit it out of hand spun. So I'm planning to spin yarn for a new penguono. Yeah, so that's my penguono by Stephen West. Highly recommend this pattern. It did not use up as much yarn as I thought it was. I still have, like, I feel like almost as many scraps and bits as I did before. In fact, I might have more scraps now. But, I mean, whatever. What are you gonna do? So, yeah, there's that. Alright, and the last finished objects I'm gonna show, are just real quick, are some spinning. I finished 2 skeins of hand spun. Here they are. Very squishy. I've been getting really into using my Turkish spindle, and like, I feel like I've been actually getting pretty quick at it. Like, obviously I don't make a ton of progress because I have a baby to take care of, but I did get these 2 skeins done. This was from fiber I bought at Rhinebeck. Don't remember who it was from. I feel really bad about that. It's a merino, I think, and it's sort of like gold and silver and purple. It's very soft. It, I think, is about I think it was 208 yards when I measured it, roughly. And some of it is really, really, really good, I think. Like, I got some, like, really, really nice, like, evenness to it. And then there's some parts that are, like, less nice. I don't know if you can see in there. They're, like, overspun and, like, got kind of weird and kinky. And, like, even with soaking and waiting it as it was drying, it didn't really come out. I also spun everything. So I spun all my singles counterclockwise and then plied clockwise, which is like the opposite of what you generally do. So it's a little bit different, but that's okay. I don't know what this is going to become. I kind of like let hand spun sit around for a little bit. It might become part of a hat or a cowl or something. I don't know. And then this was some Shetland that I bought ages ago to spin natural, but I don't know. I wasn't in the mood for spinning natural, so I dyed it. And it turned out like this. It's about 100 yards, and which was exactly what I wanted. It's 50 grams, so I got 100 yards out of it. I spun it in the month of November for the little spin-along Fran from Wool and Hearted was running, and yeah, this was a lot of fun, actually. Like, it's pretty rustic. I thought it might make a fun hat for Thomason, and what I would do is maybe use like a it's the Italian coming out in me. Like a really soft yarn, and do like a double layered brim so that she doesn't have like the Shetland on her forehead, but she'd have like maybe like a merino or a cash merino sock or something like on the inside, just so that you know, she doesn't get itchy. But I thought this might be nice. It turned out a lot more heathered than I expected, and I really like that. But I like that there's also these like really like cool pops of like bright green in there. So I have some merino, 4 ounces of merino that I just bought to dye, superwash merino to dye, to spin some more, and I can't wait to do that. I'm also spinning some Rambouillet, but I'm not gonna dig that out. Alright, so that's it for my finished objects. I'm sure I probably finished 1 or 2 other things, but I think those are like the main things that I finished. Yeah, so let's move on to the next segment, which is works in progress. Okay, so the first work in progress I'm going to talk about really quickly, just because we're on the topic of spinning, is a little bit of spinning that I've been working on a new Turkish spindle. Luke 3D printed this for me. It's really fun. It's quite light, and like, it's not like a Jenkins spindle. It's not a Snyder spindle. But you know what? This thing spins pretty good. Like, I spun this in a very short amount of time. I'm able to get like an even, pretty fine spin. Like, I'm really happy. It's a lot of fun. And I've actually been using, my daughter has like this little thing called Tobbles. It's like a stacking tower, and it has like a base that's like kind of rounded, and it makes the perfect little like support to make this a support spindle. So I've done that a few times in the evenings. The fiber is from Debbie the Loving Path. This was a gift when I was running a spin along with Taylor of Wool Needles Hands, and so it was like what, 2 years ago, 3 years ago even. It was a long time ago. So I had spun up 50 grams of it pretty much already, and I needed to finish it. And now that I have more than one spindle, and he actually did another spindle for me too, so I could like have a third spin going at the same time, which is really fun. I thought now's the time, and it's so pretty. It's a merino silk. I feel like it has something to do with gnomes. Debbie, do you remember? I can't remember the name of it, but it's gorgeous. It just makes me think of Lord of the Rings. So yeah, so that's my spinning that I've been mostly working on. Let's talk about my sweater that I'm working on. I have cast on a boxy sweater, just a classic fingering weight boxy sweater, by Joji Locatelli. Again, very famous pattern. I don't think I like need to extol its virtues. They've been extolled many times, but I've been really enjoying this. Sorry, let me just get it so that I can kind of show you. My needles are a bit wonky, like the cord. Okay, so I cast this on maybe 3 days ago. Oh, sorry if it got a little dark. The yarn is Illimani Sabri, I believe. It's an organic cotton and baby alpaca blend. Normally, I generally can't like wear alpaca, but like this feels so good. Like, this gives me hope for wearing alpaca, guys. It's the fawn colorway, so it's like a very like light sort of beigey tan. It's a color I'm very into right now. I've got maybe like 5.5 inches done. I did 3 extra rows of ribbing because I just did not want to risk it flipping up constantly, because that was one thing I really wish I had done on my Sunset Highway, was knit longer ribbing. But yeah, so loving this. I'm one of those weirdos that loves a fingering weight sweater, and I love a plain stockinette sweater. If you give me plain stockinette for miles and miles and miles, I will be so happy. I love not thinking about it. When I knit things with lace and cables and texture, they look great, and I really want the finished product, but I don't really love knitting them as much, if I'm being totally honest. It's because I want that finished object. When I'm knitting something that is predominantly stockinette, which is why I love knitting colorwork, is because it's stockinette with just a little bit of an edge, a bit of a twist. Like, I'm happy. Like, I can knit this anywhere. It's like easier than knitting a sock on Magic Loop, because I don't have to worry about getting to the end of the side, right? Like the end of the needle. I just get to keep going around and around. I think I have 16 inches in total to knit of this. So yeah, I also didn't swatch for this because it has a bajillion inches of positive ease, and I figured, just judging by what I'm seeing on the needles, it will be plenty drapey for me. And I think this is going to be such a great like transitional sweater, because it's a very like light yarn. Like, I might need to wear a cami underneath it just because it might be a little see-through when it's done. I don't know how this yarn blooms yet, if it will bloom, because it's mostly cotton, but it doesn't matter. I don't care about that. That's fine. But I would definitely knit more sweaters out of this. I would love to knit a sweater with this held double. I think this would be gorgeous for like a ranunculus sweater. But yeah, I cannot wait to finally have a boxy in my wardrobe. I feel left out, guys. Yeah, so that's my boxy sweater. I'd started a piece of silver sweater with some Knit Pick Stroll But I think I'm gonna rip that out and knit a different sweater with that yarn. I think I want something a little more robust, like a more of like a plumper sock yarn for that particular sweater. I just think it will lay nicer on me. But yeah, and then I'm working on a sweater for Luke. It's gonna be hard to show because it's all bunched up. I haven't split for the, oh, before I move on, because that sweater's being knit on some Knit Picks, the nickel plated interchangeable needles, and this is being knit on my high interchangeables. Guys, personally, I think that the Knit Picks are perfectly on par with the Hiya-Hiyas, and in fact, I prefer the Knit Picks needles to my Hiya-Hiyas, and they were so much cheaper. I think they're like $40 American regular price, like something like that, or $45, and I got mine on sale, and like, I like the black cables better than, I've had nothing but issues with my Hiya cables. Like, you've heard me complain about them before. I have the regular tips, I don't use the sharps anymore. Like, I've had the sharps for like socks, I don't really like them, if I'm being totally honest. But like, for the regular tips, they're essentially the same. Like, save yourself the money if you really, really want like a good set of needles, and you get such a range of sizes too, like, and you can buy any needle tips. Like, I have like wooden ones too that work, and I bought the shorts so that I could use them with 16-inch circles. But anyway, ramble aside, this is the Boatyard pullover by Hannah Fedig, and you won't really be able to see it. This is again Rhinebeck yarn from 2018. This is Harrisville Watershed. I cannot remember the name of the colorway. If I'll try to put it on the screen. But it's like a tweedy dark forest green. Luke chose this himself. Wool and spun yarn, if you're not familiar. I did not get gauge with this yarn. It's very plump. Like, definitely leaning more, I think, towards the Aran in terms of gauge, but Luke prefers like more of an oversized sweater anyway, so these days, I should say. But yeah, so it's a raglan sweater. It's kind of cool. To my knowledge, there are no short rows in this. Instead, you like start by knitting flat, and that's what builds up the back neck. Raglan, I don't know if I said that. You can see that there. It's double moss stitch all the way down. We were originally going to knit the Jaden pullover, but this one felt a little more classic, a little like more of a safer bet because he's quite picky. So I'm desperately trying to get to the sleeves separation, because I feel like once I get to the body, it'll be almost as easy as stockinette, right? Because you're just doing double moss stitch all the way around. So yeah, I'm pretty close. I think I have like 6 or 8 more rows maybe before I split. So I feel pretty solid about that. And I hope that this sweater is nice because I kind of want to wear it too. I love this color. Makes me think of Scotland. I'm sorry if there are Scottish people watching this and they're like, oh, stop reducing us to forest green yarn, but like, it makes me think of Scotland. I'm sorry. Yeah, anyway, so that's being kept in my ginormous ghosty bag that Luke made for me. My next project was it ended up being my Christmas Day cast on because I worked really hard on Christmas Eve to get my penguino done. But it is a shawl. And it is the Faded Linen by Nat Redwolf, which is a pattern I have desperately wanted to knit since she came out with it. Actually, since she started putting like preview photos of it. So it's fully a linen stitch, which is a stitch I adore, and I've been desperately wanting to knit a linen stitch shawl, but I didn't know how to I was like, oh, maybe I'll do it myself, but I could not figure out how to increase or decrease or whatever. So again, I'm using my Hiya-Hiyas and I just freaking hate them, but whatever, it's fine. So I've done the first color and I've faded into the second color. This is the right side. So the first color is some leftovers from Crooked Kitchen Yarns in the Cleopatra colorway, which is really soft pink with like a peachy pink with some blue and yellow and red and pink speckles, everything going on in there. It's just really, really beautiful. I don't know if it will, come on. I don't know if it's gonna, I don't know, okay, whatever. I didn't have enough of it to use this for the border, so I'm gonna use my second color for the border, but that's fine. I kind of wanted that anyway. My second color that I faded into is some yarn I've had in my stash for a really long time. It's from Cosmic Strings. It's in the Ghost colorway. It's like a grayish brown with coordinating speckles, as you can see. And they fade like a friggin' like almost seamlessly. Like they look so good. Yeah, and then my next colorway will be also Cosmic Strings in the Sandstone colorway, which is just a little bit like darker, but kind of similar. It's got some brown and gray speckles. And then it will go into this beautiful one-of-a-kind skein from Granui, who's a Canadian dyer who I've been dying, if you'll pardon the pun, to get some yarn from. I got 2 skeins, and I'll talk about the other one after, but yeah, so it's like a grayish brown again with some bright speckles and lots of different colors. And yeah, so that will go next. And then my last one was a gift from my friend Anna from Salem when she went to Salem. This is Spun Right Round, and off the top of my head I don't know the colorway name, but it is so pretty. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. I've been wanting to do something faded for so long, and I just never felt like I had the right yarn for it, and finally I had it. And guys, Linen Stitch is like made for fading. I'm not kidding you. It is the perfect stitch for fading. You really almost don't notice that the fade is happening. Yeah, okay, so I have one more work in progress that I need to go and get because I forgot it. So I'll be right back. And with the magic of editing, I have returned. Okay, so my last one, work in progress I'm going to show you that I've been actively working on is for Thomason, and it is a Penguino. Haha, look at it! There's so many ends, and I've been weaving in ends like you would not believe. Yeah, so I've been like making some pretty quick work of this. It works out so quick. Again, by Stephen West. Yeah, so this is the back panel. I'm basing the whole color palette off of that skein. It was a misfire of my Little Mermaid colorway. Turned out a little too bright. I didn't feel comfortable selling it. So it's going into her Penguino, and I'm gonna use it for the sleeves. You can see the one side. And like some of these scraps I've had for so long. Like this was from like when I first started knitting like 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah, and then on this side, you can see here. All right, and oh, and actually you can kind of see this is, I held the same yarn. It's that Little Mermaid Misfire. I held it double with itself, and you can see how like nice and vibrant it is. So I think that's gonna look really cute on the sleeves. And yeah, I'm knitting the 1 to 2 year old size because she's a pretty petite baby, and I figure I'd rather it be oversized for a longer amount of time. So like I think it's gonna be quite big. So she should be able to wear it all next year, plus like the border and the collar and everything. So I cannot wait for us to both have our Penguinos. And this is a pattern that like if she wanted another one like in 3 years, I'd be happy to knit that for her. I've got my big bag of yarn, most of which will not get touched. But it's fun because there's some alpaca in there and some like different kind of textures. And oh, and actually one of the yarns I'm really excited to use. I used it a little bit, but then I decided I was gonna save it for the collar because I wanted to do it solely in the collar because it's very soft. Whoop. Is this, which is some cotton that I reclaimed from a thrifted sweater back when Taylor of Wool Needles Hands was doing that like thing where the whole thing was that you were supposed to try to get like a sweater's quantity or a bunch of yarn from like a reclaimed thrifted sweater. And this was like, I got this and a little bit more. That was all I could get out of this sweater. It would not unravel well, but it's really, really soft and a really pretty color. And yeah, so that'll be this collar part. Yeah, so that's all the whips that I have to talk about. So let's quickly just talk about my last couple of things, which are this awkward transition, stuff I bought for knitting. Okay, so like I said, I bought that skein of Granui yarns, and I bought this skein of Granui, another one of a kind. Here's her logo, Granui Co. So cute. This skein is so beautiful and it speaks to me so much. It's 85% superwash merino, 15% nylon, 400 meters or 437 yards, 100 grams. And my plans for this are to make a new Martine hat, which is a free pattern from Manostil Uruguay, I think. Yeah, I think it's from Manostil Uruguay. I knit that before, it's a Madeline Tosh, and I lost it. It disappeared while I was teaching, and it was really sad. I loved that hat. It was one of the few hats I had that I really felt like looked good on me, like not so much just like something I wore outside to keep warm, but like as a fashion accessory. So I was pretty bummed, and yeah, so I'm going to replace that with this, and I'm going to also, because I know that I had a lot of leftover, when I did it, I'm going to knit some fingerless gloves to match, hopefully. And I do have a pattern for that, and I will put the name on the screen. They're really cute, like, kind of architectural, and I think I'm just going to knit like a shorter version of them, because I don't really have anything that's like short, like that's like kind of like just this, rather than, well, I guess my underwing knits are kind of, but like I usually end up with ones that are long, so we'll see. Because when I knit my Martine hat, I had enough left over to go into 2 pairs of socks. Like one, like I knit the main body, like the main part of the socks for 1 pair, and then use the rest for heels, toes, and cuffs. So like that tells you how much, you know, that hat actually took. So yeah, there's that. And then I wanted to show you the book, like I said. This is Pika Pow. The Animal Friends of Pika Pow. Gather all 20 colorful amigurumi characters by Jan Schenkel. Sorry, I could have sworn it was Janina. Maybe that's the full name. Anyway, it's beautiful. Look at these animals. They are just darling. And I love that they're not like just bear, rabbit. Like there's a platypus. There's a unicorn, a really, really cute unicorn actually. And there's so much information. Like she gives you so much help with technique. Like the first third of the book is just teaching you how she does what she does and making things simple. So I would say if you have some experience in crochet and you've been looking to get into some amigurumi, this would be a good one to go for. Like once you've kind of maybe crocheted 1 or 2 really simple ones and you kind of understand the terminology, like I think this would be great. But here you can see all of these gorgeous animals. Like look at this bat, this scarf, look at this crocodile, this puffin with his hat, this gazelle, this unicorn. Oh, don't get lipstick on the book, Joy. The dragon. Thomason has a dragon corner in her room where we put all like her stuffed dragons, and so I'm definitely gonna make that. This little frog, the platypus, like I want to make every single one of these. Like they're just too cute. So yeah. So I think that's it, knitting content wise. So in terms of what's been going on, okay, wait. It has a name. It's my life, etc. Whatever. Okay, so real quick, actually, before I talk about like my life, let's talk about Cabinet of Curios, which is my hand-dyed yarn business. So I dye yarn, I make stitch markers, Luke sews bags. It's been gone for some time now because of the whole baby stitch. And here's my thought process real quick. I think I'm gonna take a break from dyeing yarn for the next year or so because we live in a very small apartment. I dye in my kitchen where my baby eats. I try to be as like proactive about wiping everything up and covering things and making sure nothing that touches her mouth like is in the kitchen at the time and making sure the windows are open, etc. But I mean, my pots are here. I don't have storage for them that is closed. Am I comfortable with her playing with my acid dye pots? Absolutely not. I don't want her, like, getting sick from it. So there's that. There's the fact that I don't have a lot of time. She's still not a great napper. I don't have a lot of time during the day to dye. I can't dye at night because I can't see colors properly at night. And it would take me probably, and I have actually worked out the time it would take me about, was it like 10 or 14 weeks, like 10 to 14 weeks to dye up all the yarn for a single update. Like, that's how long it would take, because I dye on my stove, I don't have any extra burners, I can dye maybe 3 pots at a time with a maximum of 2 skeins in them. Some have 2-step processes where I have to, like, dye them and then speckle them. So realistically, it just doesn't make sense for me to dye yarn in large quantities right now. But that does make it so that I can spend a little more time, hopefully, on stitch markers. I can maybe spend a little more time developing some new ones. I know you guys like the mushrooms. I'd love to expand my range of mushrooms and other, like, fun little seasonal things. So that'll just open up more time for me to do that and focus on that. I also had some thoughts about doing some pins, like polymer clay pins, to sort of, you know, go with your enamel pins, that sort of thing. And then Luke can sew his bags, and he's also kind of branched out into some, we've been working on an interchangeable needle case design, and notions pouches and stuff like that. So that will just open up a little bit more space in our lives for that. So I hope that's okay with you. I hope that makes sense to everybody. Other than that, I've mostly just been teaching art classes, some kids' art classes, and we've been having a great time. I've really just been, like, living that, like, infant child life. Like, I'm on the floor all day long. I read the same book over and over again. I act like stacking rings on a little post is the most exciting thing I've ever seen in my life. And that's kind of it. There's nothing really super exciting to talk about. But with that being said, let me, like, get my baby for you. Should I do that? Yeah. Hello, baby. Hello. Come here. Look at the face. Hello, say hello. Say hello. Here she is. Here she is. She's 8.5 months old now. I think she was 3 months the last time we talked. She has 2 full grown teeth, and she's cutting 2 more up top. We've been having a rough week. But yeah, she's doing great. Say hello. She loves looking at herself in the camera. Say hello. Hello, everybody. Are you all having fun knitting your projects? Yeah, there she is. My little cutie patootie. Yeah, and if this is your first time, yeah, I had a baby. Her name is Thomason. She's great. She's a pretty fun little thing. Yep. Yep. Your face is filthy. Say hello. Say hello. Oh, Luke walked away. High five? Show everybody your high five? Look, high five. Come on, high five. There you go. Good job. Good job. You were such a good girl. Yep. She's got quite a character coming out. She's a little comedian. She's been eating lots of new foods, and yeah, she's been doing really well. Right? You have a full tummy? Okay. And with that, if you would like to find me elsewhere on the internet, you can find me on Ravelry as dabblejoy, and you can find me on Instagram as joy.makes.things. That's right, folks. It's not Rhineland Story anymore. I have updated the handle. It is now Joy Makes Things with dots in between. And if you would like to find my shop, which is currently on hiatus, it's Cabinet of Curios, and that is cabinet of .curios on Instagram. What are you doing? And I haven't done this link in a while. Cabinet of Curios yarns.etsy.com. The correct link will be on the bottom and will be linked down below. We are hopefully going to be launching our own website in the next year or so. So, I mean, by the time I have enough stock to actually post a new update, there might be a new website. So, obviously we'd keep the Etsy website and redirect you, right? Because we don't want you to get lost. No, I don't want to get lost in the interwebs. No. But yeah, I think that is everything from me and this one today. So I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I hope you have a great week, and I hope you spend some time with people that you care about, doing things that you love. Happy knitting, happy living, over and out.